best of one. I think best of one's a format that I don't play because I don't enjoy it, so I try not to have opinions on things that I'm not educated on, and the world would be a better place if more people had that stance. If you're not informed on something, shut up. Anywho, before we dive into talking about what this deck is doing, I'd like to address a comment that someone just posted in chat. Someone said, isn't Hydroid Krasis and Quasiduplicate a non-bow? And this is splitting hairs or an actually, but as far as I understand, a not combo or cards that have anti-synergy is different than these two cards that just don't work well together. And it's true that you can't quasi-duplicate Krasis because you're going to get a 0/0. But that being said, one of the common pitfalls people have when they're building new decks or brewing is that they fail to put good cards in their deck just because the good cards don't work with their theme. So don't skip playing a good card like Hydroid Krasis in your blue-green deck just because it doesn't work well with Quasi-Duplicate. Like, we have plenty of other things that work fine with Quasi-Duplicate. It's okay to just put this card in our deck even though it doesn't work well with this just because this card is very, very good. It's like, a good example of that is the tokens decks that play Hero also play History of Benalia, right? And even though History doesn't trigger Hero, it's just a good card to have. Kelper, thanks for the 3-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. And Ernia, thank you for the $10 tip. I appreciate it. Let's find the message on that one. Your soothing voice just propelled me into Mythic. Well, happy to be here, and congrats on Mythic. Could you recommend a replacement of Histories? Probably a Danto Vanguard. You just want something that can let you be aggressive. Well, the idea with Quasi-Duplicate is that you're able to jumpstart it back, so you get multiple copies. I guess? Main deck Duress. Interesting. Yeah, there's been Murmuring Mystic decks in Standard. If you look, Temur Reclamation, there's been various Temur Reclamation decks that have, that play Murmuring Mystic. So, do I play Llanowar Elves and just hold up Spell Pierce here? Nah, I'm just gonna jam Jadelight Ranger. I love when my divination comes with a 2/1. It's my favorite kind of divination. See if we get Ritualist Hooded here next turn or not. Thief of Sanity, gross. Alright, so I guess we just get aggressive here, huh? And now, worth noting here, if I'd have sequenced my lands slightly differently, I might have been able to hold up Spell Pierce this turn, but I didn't, so I can't. Yeah, this is probably Manfield's list. Hey, look, another Quasi-Duplicate. We can probably race at this point. Because we're going to, what, Quasi-Duplicate another Jadelight Ranger here? Oh, I shouldn't have played the land, right? I guess that means I get to hold up Spell Pierce. So they're forced to block this Wildgrowth Walker. Otherwise they die. We need to fade a Ritualist sit here. Otherwise we should be good. That's sweet. Seems reasonable. And that was a good example of Quasiduplicate just, like, being good with the Explore package, right? So, like, even when we don't have the Ooze thing going on, it's, like, still pretty reasonable. Do I want Kraul Harpooner against Thief of Sanity? I probably want some Kraul Harpooners, huh? I think I want Disdainful Stroke for their hostage takers as well. I don't think I want Entrancing Melody. This is a matchup where I want Krasis. Is it crazy to board my Krasises out and just try and get under them? Wonder if that's the play. I feel like that's probably not unreasonable. Cutting some of the walkers might be okay. Just because, like, the getting big is good, but we're not always going to have explore creatures to go with them. Put a dive down in. This stops hostage taker too. Let's try this. Dave Vermon, thanks for the 16-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. I think I want some walkers just because, like, they do allow for some aggressive starts. No, Quasiduplicate does not work with Krasis. I mean, counter spells help beat Ritual Asut too, and you could probably argue that after they Ritual Asut me, I can't, like, I'm not, and I think this is something that I learned a lot with the Teamer deck, is that people want to grind with the Teamer deck like it's a Sultai deck, and it's not a Sultai deck. Krasis, without Find Finality and Hostage Taker to back it up, does not grind nearly as well as people think it does. And in my experience, people just always want to be grinding all of the time, when a lot of the times they shouldn't be. Look at that. Look at that. I'd go second all the time if I could always have a Llanowar Elf. I would like to shout, I have Spell Pierce from the rooftops, please. Thank you. What do I mean by grinding? So grinding in Magic, or TCGs in general, refers to generating card advantage. So cards like Krasis, cards like Find Finality, cards that give you multiple cards for one card are considered grindy. I think I have to just bin that here because I do need a land. Fantastical. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and go looking for a friend here, I think. Maybe I'm supposed to hold this for a hostage taker. Sure. We're in an okay spot here. We're not going to be in a good position to beat a sweeper, but I think that's just going to be true most of our games. Oh, that changes things. So then I need Cast Down or Craving into Ritual Asut. You know, that was a mistake on sequencing. I should have attacked first, so that way they maybe moment the Jadelight. Yeah, that was a mistake on my part. I should have attacked first, because maybe if I attack, they moment the Jadelight or cast it down. I think those are... And I think they took the wrong card here. I think they're probably supposed to take the Branchwalker, or the Branchwalker, and leave me with that one. It's a 1-3 versus a 2-1 or 3-2. Yeah, Simic is like the wet fart skill for people who aren't familiar. Yep. I think we're dead here at this point. I could draw another Ooze, but except for that, we're basically just hanging out. Oh, they took the thing that didn't die to cry. That's a good observation. Yeah, I like that. Really solid observation. We'll hold on to some lands here for the Quasiduplicate. I don't think we're in garbage time yet. Yeah, I agree, Marty. Imagine if the Quasiduplicate is like an individually powerful card. It'd be in a much better spot, right? Yeah, it's possible the Quasiduplicate should just be the Krasis, just because they're better against spot removal. No, I don't think that's true. I think I'd rather draw Ooze. Ooze kills them faster. Kraul Harpooner, yeah. Yep, if these had been Krasis, we probably win this game. That's true. The opponent is electing to play blue-black instead of Sultai, so they can't just Krasis us. So we're kind of okay here. And like, all things considered, they just fought over this. So like, if they just replay this and like I rip an Ooze next turn, I like Ooze, Quasiduplicate Ooze, and like go to town. Maybe I'm supposed to play this just as a blocker. So we're gonna lose this game because I have a cute card in my deck instead of a good card. Could you imagine if we had Domri here to like give this haste and just hit them? I mean, we drew a lot of lands, but like if I had a good card like Hydroid Krasis instead of Quasiduplicate, the lands wouldn't matter, right? I would just draw infinite cards. So like, it's very easy to write off when you're playing bad cards in medium decks, like as I got unlucky, but you do need to be aware that like, okay, well, what's the situation if I just like play a good card instead, right? That's how you need to think about it. No, I have Kraul Harpooners to kill things, and I have Hydroid Krasis to gas up. So I was boarded incorrectly. Don't make changes to your deck because you messed up. So you're gonna mess up a lot. You don't want to make a bunch of changes to your deck just because you were sideboarded incorrectly, right? Like you'd have two conclusions from that game. You could look at it and go, oh, I got unlucky and I need to change my deck. It's not built right. Or you can go, oh, Quasiduplicate shouldn't be in my deck against a removal-heavy control deck, and I should just have more creatures instead. I think Quasiduplicate is probably fine against mid-range decks or control decks where I want more access to my Explore package anyways. It's definitely not good against control decks. Yeah, Domri's red-green, and this deck doesn't have red mana in it, but this format allows you to splash cards very easily. So, like, adding Domri to this deck is fairly free. It costs you minimal amounts of damage on your mana, and that is it. This is the cry turn, and then I cry myself to sleep. Spot removal is much better for us than cry there. Land, please. Land, please. Maybe I'm supposed to take Harpooner there just because they could have, goodness. Come on. At least this gets out of cry range, I guess. It doesn't die to cry or moment. Nice to that one. Lands, please. Oh, Magic's an incredibly frustrating game sometimes. I would like to point out, think about this game in a world where I wasn't playing Explorer creatures. Think of how mana screwed I would be for how long if there weren't Explorer creatures in my deck. We wouldn't even have a chance to play Magic, right? Just super dead. I'm gonna let this resolve. I'm gonna let this resolve and just pass with the stroke up. I feel like this contempt is baiting my stroke. I don't want to get like Hostage Taker or Doom Whisperer this turn. These jokes write themselves. Listen, chat. Listen, chat. Pull your heads out of the gutter, okay? Pull your heads out of the gutter. Never I live here. You're just visiting the darkness. I was born into it. I live here. You're kind of surprised I'm playing this unranked. Why? Look at the core of this deck. The core of this deck is good cards. The best way to brew in formats is by playing a core of reasonable Magic the Gathering cards. This deck has a ton of reasonable Magic cards in it. Strickles, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Win trading, they were dead. They were super dead. I think it's just that the Quasi-duplicates are actually really good in a matchup like this, because having more Explore creatures and Harpooners is kind of absurd, right? This just doesn't block and doesn't pressure well. Let's do this. So, Incubation is good in this matchup because Incubation gives us more virtual copies of all of the cards that we care about. So this card is good because it makes our Explore package more consistent. Yeah, and Harpooner is so good here, right? Because they can't just dive down because then I still have a blocker, right? Yeah, so like dive down prevents me from fighting their thing, and then I have a 3-2 blocker on the backside. So dive down's not even good there. It's the reason why Harpooner's so good in this matchup, is because even if they dive down, I still have a blocker. So it's like a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, they're screwed either way scenario. They know about this Branchwalker. Curious Obsession on Surge Mare is vomit-inducing. They get to draw 3, discard 1 every turn now, basically. You need to play against Mono Blue more. Maybe you don't play green decks against Mono Blue. If you've ever played green decks against Mono Blue, you know that this is a thing that happens quite frequently. I've seen this movie. The plot is drawn out. And you feel disappointed at the end. Maybe if either of these Jadelight Rangers stick, we could be okay here. Yikes! All right. Well, you know. I love the spirit of people in chat who are talking about how we should board an Entrancing Melody when they literally discarded a Negate. They literally discarded a Negate. Hey, Moonlight, thanks for the 7 months. I appreciate it. Welcome back. For people, this is another thing that role assessment is important. You need to understand that one of the best ways to beat the mono blue deck is not to interact with them, it's to attack them. So the people asking, like, how do we answer the Surge Mare? The answer is you don't answer the Surge Mare. You gain some life with your Wildgrowth Walker, increase its power, and just race them by attacking on the ground. And I get that that plan didn't work out there, but you need to have a plan and try and execute, otherwise you might as well just not even bother playing, right? You hit them with 4/3s until they die. That is part of what makes Colossus good in this matchup, I agree. Yeah, I think I'm in for that since I have Hydroid Krasis. So we'll go Elf on 1 into Harpooner, your 1-drop, play Elf on 2. So don't play an unblockable dork, play a flying dork. I've wasted more money on things other than this. Don't let me down. Scrot, thanks for the 2-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. That's unfortunate. Pizza with the tip. It was my birthday yesterday, so here's some money towards your preferred modern Vanafear pod list. Will too. Thanks for the support. Hope you're having a good one. Bionic Broccoli, thanks for the 16th month in a row. Welcome back, and thank you for the generous tier 2 sub. Every matchup is losable, chat. That's what makes games of Magic good. If you just conceded matchups when you saw what your opponent was playing, why bother playing Magic? This is the blue-black control player we played against 30 seconds ago. For blue-black mid-range, at least we have a better board plan now. Yeah, Modern's miserable a lot of the time. That's why we play less of it here than Standard. Hands that have like lands and lands and spells that those lands can cast are like almost always keeps against these Thought Erasure decks. I'm actually gonna wait on this in case they Thief of Sanity me next turn. Alright, now I'm gonna play this. If I named a price for me to eat on stream, if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it. Maybe that's a little bit of an aggressive dive down there. Might be. So, based on the texture of my hand here, I think this Incubation Incongruity is actually on Incongruity business. I've learned so much tech from you. Thanks for making me a better Magic player. Well, thanks for the 2-month resub, Virtuous. I really appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me employed here. They brought in Negate against us. That's interesting. Spell Pierce is kind of sweet. Let's do this. Mark me a river, baby. Trigger. Alrighty then. How are we doing, folks? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good night to everybody, wherever you're out in the world. Thanks for dropping by here today. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I stream Magic full-time here on Twitch. I'm here playing Magic 30, 40, 50 hours a week. If you enjoy Standard, best of 3 constructed, thanks for dropping in here. This is probably a channel for you. As always, a shout out to my wonderful subs. I wouldn't be here day in and day out without their wonderful support. And I also like to plug a couple of my wonderful sponsors here really quick. Quip provides quality, affordable electric toothbrushes. If you check them out using my link at bit.ly/HugoQuip, you'll get your first refill kit with them for free. Baby Legs, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. And as a special thank you for checking out the sponsor using my link. If you sign in using your Twitch account when you pick up your Quip, you can bump a deck in my deck queue by 25 points as a thank you. BCW Supplies are the only ones I trust to protect my shuffling deck here and my other physical Magic the Gathering cards using code Jeff10 at bcwsupplies.com. You can save 10% on sleeves, binders, deck box, and all sorts of other fantastic gaming accessories with them. Cardsphere.com will love to help you turn your cards into other cards directly to the players. There's no haggling, and they just take 1% fee off the top. And of course, inkedgaming.com will love to help you customize your gaming experience using code Jeff12. You can save 12% on custom playmats, mousepads, binders, and bags with them. You can upload your own custom artwork or choose from the wide range of custom artwork that they have on their website. We're heading on into the next match here with the Ooze deck. Bouncing up, down, all around. Red Bull is one of our selection of wonderful Tempo Storm sponsors. We've got a Tempo Storm logo here. I added that to the channel emotes. Every day we're shuffling, do. I think this is more keepable than the one with no blue and no Explore Creature. Explore Creature helps us dig to blue sources a little bit. That's an interesting idea, Doc Prop. The Upside to getting rid of their thing is we'd exile it so they couldn't, like, Memorial to follow it back later. Obscene Sanity, thank you for the 10 months. Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Do I have codes for Tempo Storm sponsors? Maybe DX Racer. I believe there is a code for... There is a special Tempo Storm branded racer chair that I believe has a discount code. I think I remember. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that. Ooh, yay, blue source. Yay, blue source. If it looks like they're playing mono blue, I'm probably going to go Island Pass on 2. Yeah, so I'm going to go Island Pass here so I can Spell Pierce a Curious Obsession. Excited to get a retry here at the mono blue matchup. It didn't feel that terrible first time we played it, but we got run out in game 3. Hopefully not have a repeat of that. I mean, if we get Pierce back, we get Pierce back. Like, this is just gonna happen. It's part of Magic. Watching a deck you submitted to the queue slowly rise is uncomfortably enjoyable. You can submit decks for me to play on stream using the link on my website. I'm gonna bin that. Hey, I'm supposed to keep that. I guess it puts 4/4s into play. Man, I feel like I should commission adorable things related to the Magic colors for my emotes. Nox has these little guys, and Day 9 has these things. I feel like I need to find a cartoonist to make me cute things related to the Magic colors. I need more adorable. I need more adorable. How do I feel like it compares to Team or Climb? I think it's slightly less aggressive because it lacks, like, the combo style kills that Climb produces, but I think it's a little bit more consistent. Domery's an incredibly powerful card. Do you feel like Explore package is casting a shadow over adept creature deck building? Definitely. The Explore creatures are objectively the best green creatures you can be playing, so you should play them. Tutu. Never undervalue the Tutu Krasis in this matchup. Tutu Krasis is real good. Yeah, like, and that's, like, one of the reasons they avoided having... maybe they thought this would get rid of the 1/1 counters. One of the reasons they avoided having Llanowar Elves in Standard for so long is just the fact that, like, Llanowar Elves, like the Explore package, basically goes into every deck. So, like, it just kind of stifles out potential diversity because it's wrong to not be playing Llanowar Elves. In fact, this viewer-submitted deck list didn't have elves in it, and one of the changes I made before we started these matches was I put 4 Llanowar Elves in here because not playing them is very wrong. So it's important that I attacked here before playing the Biogenic Ooze, because if they know an Ooze is coming down, they're going to block because this can't attack. But not knowing that Ooze is coming down, they chose not to block because they thought maybe they could attack in for 2 with it. Yeah, we've played a ton of different Mardu hero decks, and in fact, we're going to be playing another Mardu hero deck today. It's a very, very popular archetype in this format. There's one in the queue for today. I think there's another in the queue for tomorrow. Alright, the fact that I drew another land here means that I get to just drop this with Spell Pierce up. It could be right to just sit here and hammer this, but If I get, like, countered plus Spell Pierce back, like, if they Spell Pierce me back, I feel a little bit bad here. So, like, maybe I'm just supposed to have, yeah, maybe I'm just supposed to, like, sit here and activate Biogenic Ooze. But, like, the upside of having multiple oozes going is, like, kind of absurd. If they want to trade Trickster plus Terramander for this, I'm okay with that exchange. Any general tips for the Platinum grind? Just playing lots of Magic's the best way to get better at Magic, definitely. Yeah, I got 2 counters out of their hand, but, like, getting a Spell Pierce out of their hand isn't really a win for me in this matchup, just because, like, Spell Pierce is, like, pretty unlikely to do much otherwise. I don't think they're roping so much as they're just, like, taking their time and trying to make good decisions. They're behind on the board and trying to catch up. Rotation's not happening for a while. And I mean, there's a chance that, like, we get cards in the next set that could put Aristocrats over the top. We might not have to wait till rotation. Alright, so this game's done. This game was probably done regardless, but the fact that this is resolving, like, kind of guarantees it. Nice, Stannon. I'm going to leave this back so that way I can chump block a 5/5 next turn. But, like, this ooze is getting huge. The other oozes are getting huge. Are we double blocking my Branchwalker? That seems great for me. And, like, even though... So, being objective and being results-based versus being results-based, I get that Ooze was good here, but I am still boarding out Biogenic Ooze in our next game. Because Biogenic Ooze, on average, is too clunky and slow for a matchup like this. Fart. Fart. Pass. Who's your daddy? Yeah, we're just gonna swap. We're gonna swap the Biogenic Oozes out for the Kraul Harpooners and call it a day. Is a connoisseur of animations. Yeah, pretty much all of the angel, dragon, demon, vampires, like all the giant flying things have like absurd animation value. They're so good. It's really awesome that Magic is like regularly breaking 5 digits worth of viewers on Twitch every day. Arena's been so good for the game. I don't think Entrancing Melody is very good here because they have so many cheap cards, whether it's Dive Down or Siren Storm Tamer or Spell Pierce. I know, like, in the Mono Blue Mirror, those players bring in Entrancing Melody, but they don't have better answers like us, right? Like, we have Kraul Harpooner. I don't like Negate in this matchup either, because Negate is tempo negative in this matchup a lot of time, and what I mean by that is, a lot of the time we're trying to negate things that only cost 1 mana, and that makes us fall behind because our opponent gets ahead on resources, which ultimately makes it the game snowball for us. Adds Kraul Harpooner on 2 and lands to cast it. Keep. Man, if Harpooner has a thing where it lives, and then we get to Quasi-duplicate it, that would be hot. Sweet 16, baby. Furious Squirrel. Thank you for the very generous tier 3 resub. I hope you're having a good one wherever you're at. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Is this a Tempest Shin start? It feels like it must be a Tempest Shin start, right? I mean, there are good cards that are other. There are other good 2-mana creatures like Growth Chamber Guardian. They're just worse than these. Like, and honestly, you kind of don't want them to print better green 2-drops because that's how power creep happens. You want to wait for it to rotate out so that way the 2-drop slot doesn't just snowball into obnoxiousness. Soon I shall wield the farting blade of Hoaglandia. It's going on, Eternal Witness. Thanks for the 3/4 of the year. Welcome back. And this might be a game where, on the back of Growth Chamber Guardian, we could win in spite of them having Curious Obsession going just because we might be able to race on the ground. It's going to depend on how many Merfolk Tricksters they end up having. That card's definitely going to be very good here for my opponent. So in positions like that, merit to Spell Piercing. I don't think so. Looks like they have a tricky deck here. What sideboard cards? More efficient, cheap removal. Cards like Moment of Craving, Cast Down, Fungal Infection. Also, flying blocking creatures are also very good. So cards like Rekindling Phoenix and Nicol Bolas. Rekindling Phoenix especially is very, very good against Mono Blue, just because it's able to block things like Tempest Shins and then come back and do it again the following turn. Discard like Duress and Thought Erasure also good, because they can poke holes in their hand to let your key cards resolve. I wonder if I'm supposed to Kraul Harpooner their Storm Tamer there. It's very possible I was supposed to Harpooner rather than adapt. You don't lose a streak. In fact, there's like a small grace window. Exclusion Mage, that's brutal. Alright, that's the land I was hoping to draw. So we'll Harpooner, we'll Spell Pierce their counter spell, we'll play Llanowar Elves. This also blocks the Tempest Shin for a turn, which is wonderful. I'm going to offer this trade. "90% of cards are useless to be competitive." 90% is probably a little strong, but yeah, so one of the things you have to understand about Magic is that unlike Hearthstone and a lot of other games, Magic has a very deep pool of these are things that you can do with your Magic the Gathering cards. So there are a lot more formats than just Standard that they produce cards for. So not every card is playable in Standard, and that's by design. Magic has cards that are designed for Limited. They have cards that are designed for Modern. They have cards that are designed for EDH. There's lots of different buckets that the Magic designers are trying to fill when designing Magic cards. I think we're probably dead here. They have a bounce spell? They have a bounce spell. We're super dead. So I'm dead to a land here. Because a land will give the Temptation a 7th point of power. And the Mystical Herald is unblockable. It's a lot of looks. It's a lot of looks at a land, chat. Bottoms up. Am I dead? If I'm not dead, they kind of have to worry about what I can do to them on the backswing, which is sweet. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, to improve the Esper control matchup, Argyl's Bloodfast. Splash blue for Teferi. Yep. Wait a minute. They missed lethal, right? Because they either had sleep or they had the island before combat, because they only drew one card. So sleep or island both killed me. So like they drew the island or the sleep, but either one of those pre-combat killed me. It doesn't matter, they're super far ahead. But they definitely missed lethal there. This is fine. And like I said, it's hard to pass up like 2 lands, Kraul Harpooner in this matchup. And like the Merfolk Branchwalkers hopefully help me find some good stuff. Yeah, I think Duplicate's fine in this matchup. I think I have a lot of really high impact creatures that I don't mind making more copies of. That is an unfortunate turn 1 play for them to have here, because it means that they have Curious Obsession. I can't Kraul Harpooner their Obsession creature. That being said, I'm going to have Branchwalker into Jadelight on the play, so maybe I can just race them here. Which, like I said, a lot of the games you win in this matchup with these green decks, in my experience, are not the games where you're interactive. They're the games where you just run them down and kill them while they have cards in their hand. So this Jadelight Ranger gets to resolve, and maybe we're going to have 7 power in play here. Or they're going to play a 1-drop, and I'm going to Kraul Harpooner it. Either way, we're going to have, you know, 5, 6, 7 power in play on turn 3. And hopefully get to attack them a bunch. Well, game 2 was a game where they just had, that sucks. That is not what we want here. There are some matchups where Jadelight Ranger being card advantage is excellent. This is not one of them. Really just want big Jadelights with which to race here. Nah, I think people are talking about Pteramander from almost day 1. It just, like, didn't break anything. It wasn't like people lost their minds over it. Like, they lost their minds over, like, people lost their minds over, what's it called? Like, Assassin's Trophy. It's just like, oh, this card's playable. We don't need to go crazy about it. Huh. I wonder if I'm supposed to... Yeah, we're just gonna get run over again here. I wonder if I'm supposed to have... I wonder if I'm supposed to just play double spell that turn rather than play the 3-drop. So I could go like Branchwalker plus Harpooner. Yeah, Blur, if you check the notes column, it's being played on a specific day. we're losing this race, right? Would like to draw another Harpooner. It feels like they're pausing, thinking about playing more stuff here. For the love of God, please dive down me. Please dive down me. Why on God's green earth would they do that? Christmas come early, chat. Christmas come early. We're not guaranteed to win, but we're no longer guaranteed dead. So I'm gonna call that a W for the home team. Have a consolation, lizard. I think we're probably still dead, so I'm not sure that it matters. Yeah, but like, their thing's still dying, so they should leave a removal spell up. So like, they should not pay one. They should make me think about whether or not I want to. Like, maybe they don't have anything, and like, my thing was gonna work anyways. Like, I was going to go for it, but... we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just 9 lands and 16 cards. How's the day been so far? Sultai Super Friends was really good. I think that's a strong contender for the deck of the day so far today. This deck's been a little middling. I think this is gonna be our last one with this. This deck feels like a worse version of both the Domri and the Climb decks that we've played. Just like, doesn't feel like there's a super compelling reason to not be playing the better cards. Like, we definitely run a little bit bad here, but we also just don't have better tools to, like, run better, basically. Disagree that you need black for removal. The teamer decks I've played, I felt like they've been pretty good blue matches, just because they have, like, Collision Colossus and Lava Coil and stuff like that. So, I think we ran a little bit bad in these blue matches, but I definitely think, regardless of running good or bad, what this deck is doing is, just, like, falls a little bit short. We didn't get to Quasi-Duplicate Ooze at all at any point, but, like, I also think just, like, Quasi-Duplicating Ooze isn't something that's good in a lot of matches. Like, it's fine against, like, Sultai, because they don't have a ton of removal spells, but, like, in a lot of places, like, one Ooze is gonna be enough. Honestly, the best thing we did with Quasi-Duplicate in this deck today was we Quasi-Duplicated a bunch of Jadelight Rangers, and it was pretty okay. But I think in general, this card tends to be a little bit win more, just because when you have something good to target, your thing that's good to target is probably good enough on its own. So,